Hello, everybody, and welcome to this segment of HCAM Sports Talk. Tom Nappi here, and we are joined by Peter Thomas. Peter, how are you?
Great to see you, Tom. I'm doing great, man. We're riding high off of another Hiller girl victory, Tom.
Absolutely, a tremendous win against a good Dover-Sherborn team. Uh, Pretty dominant win. I expected the game to be a little bit closer, especially with how the first half went. But
Yep.
Dover-Sherborn are a very well-coached team, and it's actually a former Hiller coach over there, Everin Gundes. But he does a great job with that program, and they're certainly a tough team. They played the Hillers very tough in the first half. It was actually scoreless heading into the second half. Or
Yeah.
maybe it was 1-0. I got to look
It was
back.
1-0, I think, but the
Yeah,
girls just they broke it open. And I mean, they kind of do that, right? Like we've talked about that before. At some point, it's kind of that Maddie Nina combination. One of them gets frustrated enough with a lack of scoring and just says, I'm gonna hold my beer for a moment. I'm gonna take
right.
over for a second, and then nets a couple goals, and then it just sort of gets the party started. Um,
It was Maddie Recupero stepping up in that one, and we got to congratulate her, Peter. She scored her 40th, which was the real landmark, but also her 41st career goal in the win against Dover-Sherborn. She now
Look,
has 20 on
yeah,
the season.
we have talked a lot about Maddie. We will continue to talk a lot about Maddie on this show. Um, I think you and I have run out of superlatives for her, but let me just say this, okay? I think we counted five goals. I'm sorry, 5 games remaining in the season. All right. Georgie Clark had from last year. Our viewers will remember. I think Georgie has 52 career goals. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. Is that
Yes,
right?
I believe you are correct.
So 52 career goals for Hopkinton. Um, Maddie has a shot at being the taking over and being the all-time leading scorer in Hopkinton school history. But here's what I want to say about that. I'm going to put a big asterisk at the end of that because if she does do that, um, remember that many of Georgie's goals were set up by Madison Recupero.
Yes,
Maddie was the all-time assist. She's probably the all-time assist leader. I'm not sure who's tracked, but she must be at this point.
she's up
Um,
there.
she has to be. And so she could have, as we know, could have scored a lot more goals. But because Georgie's, she was such a ruthless goal scorer, Madison was her setup player for so many of those career goals. So if Maddie actually overtakes Georgie as the all-time leading scorer in school history, having also been the all-time assist leader and the setup man for Georgie, I mean, that is an astonishing accomplishment. That's what I want to say about that.
Absolutely. But very impressive in that game. And it's when the Hillers were getting some good shots. And actually early on in that game, Dover-Sherborn was winning the possession battle. It kind of took the Hillers a little while to get going, but then
Mhm.
once they got going, they did it with authority and really controlled the possessions of the game and kept the ball in Dover-Sherborn territory and got significantly more shots off in that game. And
Yeah, I think the if you look at it too, the goals that did go in, one of them was from I think Ashley McCann had a goal, right? Our left defender had a goal, and she had a goal from 25 yards out or something like that, and it was just perfectly placed upper V. She put it those goals, a lot of them were just beyond the outstretched hands of the keeper at Dedham. Look, Madison had two, Ashley had one, I think Nina TZ had one. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it's just it's like they get it going. And I don't know, we've talked about this. Do you think it's fitness, Tom, like that wears the teams down, or do you think they deflate their opponent by just, kind of taking that, just winning the possession battle? What do you think it is?
I think it's a little of both, to be honest with you. I think Dover Sherborne, after a while, seemed to struggle to keep up with them a little bit. So I think, that goes with the fitness and then the ability of the Hillers just to keep up with I mean, look at their pass rate,
Yeah.
75%. They possessed the ball 68% of that game. So to keep up with a team that has such crisp passing, I think is a struggle
It's
for most
impossible. You're just
opponents.
chasing the ball. You're chasing the ball the whole time. I mean, we've talked about that before with, that being Skiba's strategy is just keep the ball away from the opponent. And, after a while, 45, 50, 55 minutes of just boom, boom, ball going here, there. It's so many one touch passes. And for our viewers who watch your broadcast, there's always that sort of 15 minutes before the game where where you're not talking, but the camera's trained on the Hillers as they're warming up. Look at the drills that they're running to start the game. It's always a drill like monkey in the middle, where it's a one-touch pass, right? There's one or two penny defenders they're just playing keep away basically. But this is just all small triangles, and then that just goes and manifests. It just goes and manifests as the game plays out. It's just so many one-touch passes that I think by the 55th and 60th minute, the opponent is like, I'm just beat. I'm just beat, you know?
Yeah, I mean their ability, their stamina, it's like no other. It's not like anything that you typically see. This team's just committed. Uh, Coach Skiba has these players bought in, these athletes bought in, and listening to what he wants them to do. They're doing the off-season workouts. They're putting in the extra work that they need to put in to have the success they've had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think after last year, they're hungry to get back to that level. They want to get
Yeah.
to state semis. They want to get to the championship. So they are completely bought in and committed. Uh, and of course, they're a very talented team as well, which certainly helps. And there's a lot of girls on this team. They've been playing together for quite a few years. So I think
Yeah.
the experience together also has helped.
So the revealing thing about this slide you're showing too. So Maddie obviously has 20 goals, and the next nearest scorer is Riley Colleran with 6. She's a freshman, number one. Number two, she doesn't start. She doesn't start. She
Right?
comes off the bench, what, 20 minutes in to relieve Nicole Tedstone. So when you look at that, you're looking at a non-starter as your second leading scorer. That tells you that, with 10, you have 9 girls graduating this year, which sounds like a lot, right? And you have a 10th with the team manager who's a senior as well. So 10 are going to leave this program, but you see your second leading scorer there in Riley Colleran as a freshman, got a lot of great years ahead. A lot of
Yes.
great years ahead of
And
you.
let me tell you something about her. She's one of the fastest athletes I've ever seen. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to see her and Maddie in a foot race because I'm really
Yeah.
curious to win. But when Coach Skiba puts them together, you have all that speed on one side. It's pretty unbelievable. And
Oh
right now,
man, you're just reminding me of the third goal, or I think the second goal. Riley against Dedham, Riley dribbled the ball down the sideline and just hooked her defender and then crosses it in for a
yes.
header. Who put the header? Was it, I can't remember. Was it Natalie Prisco? I can't remember who scored that goal, but it was like you couldn't diagram it better than that. It was beautiful. And that's the
Oh,
speed you're talking about.
oh, it certainly was. I want to say, was it Alex Clark who was playing up?
Oh, it
And
might have been
I
Alex.
think
Yeah,
it might
coming
have
up
been
from the
Alex.
defense. Yeah. She's pretty good in the air. She's pretty good in the air.
And I should have my score sheet in front of me, but I didn't come prepared. So apologies, folks. But yeah, I believe it was Alex Clark. And then I know the long distance goal, which was really impressive, was Ashley McCann.
Nice to see her get on the board there, right, for the first goal of the season. Nice to
The,
see your defenders stepping up and making a difference there, huh?
the way she kicks, she might be able to score from midfield. I don't know, but she has a boot. Pretty unbelievable
Indeed,
goal.
indeed.
And then,
So what are they looking at? Yeah, what does it look like here? Is that oh,
well,
those are the
here's
standings.
your
Yeah.
standings. I think it's very safe to say that Hopkinton Hillers will be crowned as the TVO large champions. I don't see anyone catching them. The standings in no particular order, as you might realize. Hillers 11-0-1. No, the closest team is Holliston 9-3-1. So Holliston is still technically in the running. The Hillers haven't clinched yet, but I don't see Holliston catching the Hillers. But they got 5 games coming up, and it's against league rivals, division rivals. So you can't really, you got to take all these opponents seriously, as I know the
Hmm.
Hillers are going to
Hmm.
anyway. You
Hmm.
got Norwood coming up. So that'll be an interesting one. You'll probably get a lot of the younger players some experience in that game and have
Yeah,
some
is that the
that
Thursday
one.
game, Tom? Is that the one that's coming up here this Thursday?
That's going to be Tuesday in Norwood. The game
Okay.
we'll have on HCAM is Thursday against Dedham, who is 4-8-1, but they're a good team. Dedham typically has a good program, and they had a tough schedule, so you don't want to take them too lightly. But then the real big match is going to be at Committee and Field in Holliston on Tuesday, October 22nd, where you got Holliston, and you could actually, I believe, if I think you could clinch. I think that win would clinch the TVL large. So that could
Yeah,
be
I
the
mean,
title
they
game
they
right
played
there.
Holliston on September 10th and they dismantled him. They won 8-1. Okay, that was
Yep.
real early in the season. That was the third game of the season.
That was the first game
Now,
of the season, actually,
so
or
okay, so
first home
Holliston,
game.
first home game of the season. Yeah. So Holliston has come back since that defeat and won 9 times. So you know that something is going to be different. That's going to be a better game than it was
Oh
when they
yeah.
saw him early in the season. They must have been missing somebody because they've gone on and played pretty well. So I think that's a really good match. But speaking of the Dedham game on Thursday, that for our viewers, that's senior night. So you're going to see a lot of Hopkinton seniors. This is their last, this is like the big night where we honor the seniors. They come out on the field. They've got the posters out. The parents come out. That's a really fun event. So if for folks thinking about coming and attending a game, this would be a good one to see because it's a chance to cheer for the girls that have put so much work in over the last couple of years, and send them off well.
Well, that won't be the Holliston game. They're on the road that
No,
game.
that's the Dedham game.
Dedham
That's
game.
this
Okay.
Thursday. Yeah,
Are you
exactly.
going to be there, Peter?
Of course I will. I'll be
Oh,
on the field. I
all
got I
right.
got a senior.
You'll have to
Of
come
course.
visit us.
Yeah.
And then listen to this though. This is how they end their season: Holliston, Westwood, Ashland. That's a tough stretch to end the season, but it's also good they end the season like that because you're getting playoff caliber teams 3 in a row heading
Yeah.
into the playoffs.
100%.
And
100%. And yeah, and look at our ranking now, right? Fifth. That's the
yeah,
power rankings, right?
we got fifth right now. They were actually fourth until that tie against Medfield. That actually I think moved them down a tad, but they still have a chance to get to number 4 or 3. If you look at the rating at the end there, that number pretty close with Needham and Bishop Feehan. I don't know if you'll catch Wellesley or Natick, but I think they could. If they win out, I think there's a chance they end up at number 3 heading into the postseason. But don't quote me on it. It'll also depend, of course, what Needham and Bishop Feehan do because they could win out too and maintain their rating that's slightly over the Hillers. So chances
Now, I
are they're going to finish in the top 5. Hopefully, they'll be able to finish in the top 4 because then you have home games up until the semifinal or the
yeah.
quarterfinals.
Yeah, I
So,
think actually too, if I remember, I heard a rumor, you can see Natick had a tie there. I believe the team that tied Natick was Brookline, who the Hillers defeated 3-0 on October 5th. So that's an interesting, to me, that is pretty interesting because Brookline, the Hillers took care of them in a hot
yeah,
second. And yet Natick struggled with them. So I don't really know. I didn't see the game. I don't know what was going on there, but that tells me that the Natick team might be faltering a little bit. I don't know. You don't know what happened in a game, but it was uncharacteristic for Natick because they're such a strong program. It was
right.
uncharacteristic for them to have to be drawn into a tie there.
Well, I mean,
Um,
Brookline, they're ranked 7th, and I know their record's 4-5-3, but
yeah,
their
yeah,
schedule is
tough
loaded
schedule.
with D1 teams, so that's
Yeah,
why they're ranked so high.
yep,
And most other schedules aren't so loaded with D1 teams because it's a league thing. In the TVL, the Hiller girls are the only D1 team, so they have to book all D1 teams out of league. So obviously you're not going to get as many of them as a team like Brookline that has a bunch of them in their own division. So,
Yep, 100%.
but yeah, I mean, that was the win for Hopkinton, that win over Brookline that really moved them up the rankings, because going into that game they were hanging around the 11th seed. So
Hmm.
it was that win that moved them up there and gave them the
We
boost that they needed.
we got to get into the top four. We got to have that home field advantage.
I agree. It's pretty important. You want to get that home field advantage. Every game's going to be tough in this D1 bracket. There's not going to be an easy game. So playing at home, it's a little easier, but obviously this team, I think they're willing to play anywhere, anytime. But obviously,
Very
with
deep
home.
bench too. You look at some of those names. I mean, just a super deep bench the Hillers have. I mean, you got it's. I almost think, I mean, you look at Riley, going back to Riley and Nicole. Nicole's the senior. You start Nicole, sure, but I think that teams when Nicole subs off, they think, oh, finally my defense is going to get a little break, and then you put Riley on, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
no, it just got worse for you, not better, right? And you look at some others that come on. I mean, Polcarney is back. She's made a huge difference since being back. Oniga from the injury there, right?
Yes.
I mean, you just got so much pressure that you can continue to apply as the rotation happens. So I think maybe that depth is a factor, and when we talk about the games being broken open, could be fitness. Could be that they just get a little deflated because the Hillers score and start to possess the ball so well. Could also be the reserves. There isn't a major drop
Yep.
off like other
No.
programs where you see subs come on and there's kind of a drop off in the pace of play and stuff like that. Doesn't seem to happen for the Hillers.
No, it really doesn't. The depth is what will help this team in the postseason. You need that depth. Those are the teams that win championships, the ones that are ultra deep. And, we talked about a number of the veteran athletes they have on this team, if you will, but think about some of the new girls that came in this year. Natalie Prisco, who's been unbelievable. She provides a boost when you need it. Of course, you got someone like Fotini Gransos and Alex Clark.
Yep.
Uh, you know, they may start sometimes or be reserves most of the time, but they come in, they switch things up, and they could keep that same momentum going. So when your starters are starting to get a little bit tired, you still got a bunch more talent that you could bring right into the game and pick up where you left off. And depth is
Yeah, and
everything in
that sheet you're showing comes off of the huddle system, which is the camera for our viewers that don't know. It's like the camera that tracks the game and all the metrics and stuff like that. And I'm counting on the sheet because I'm looking at the same one. There are 18 players on the team that have taken at least one shot because that's how you get on the huddle board is to take
Yep.
a shot, and that's when it starts to track you. Okay, 18 players. There's only like 20 on the roster or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. So basically, almost every player has taken at least one shot in the game. That'll tell you the depth of this team. Fun
Oh,
team to watch, man.
absolutely.
Fun team to watch.
It really is, and Coach Skiba has fun with it, and you see sometimes he'll put people different places than normal, and these girls on this team, you could put them anywhere, and they're going to compete, and they're going to be tough to deal with for sure. But believe it or not, Peter, that is just about all the time we have for this segment. We'll certainly do it again in the very near future. And maybe next time we'll be talking about probably the last three games or so in the postseason. But any closing thoughts about this team?
Well, I said it at the very first episode. They will win the TVL. I stand by my prediction. Let me see. Can I come up with a bold prediction? I think they're going to be ranked four going in. They're going to finish out strong. And I think that the power rankings, they should have no choice but to look at the math and go, yeah, makes sense. Hiller should be in the top four. They're going to be four or better in the power rankings. That's the next goal to hit. To me, they've already got the TVL, but they're going to, yeah. And Madison, she will be the all-time leading scorer. She's got 5 games left to do it. She's got to hit what, 8 goals in 5 games. I think she can do that.
Now
She'll
that
she'll
is
set
a
a goal
bold
for herself.
prediction.
That's a bold one. I know, but that's a bold one. But I'm rooting
I
for
like
her. I
it.
am rooting for her.
Absolutely. She certainly has the ability to do it. We know that. That's for sure.
You see what happens when she puts her mind to something.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. And I'm sure there's part of her in there that's aiming for that, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure she is.
But all right, well, it should be fun. We look forward to their games this week, and we'll talk again soon to Peter Thomas about Hiller girls soccer, and maybe talk about some of the boys as well in the next segment. But we thank you for watching this segment of HCAM Sports Talk. We'll have more in just a bit, so stick around.